All right, what's happening, my mathletes? This is Mr. Muscarella coming at you. That's right. And in this video, we're going to take a look at sum and difference formulas. And we're going to take a look at one example here using the sine. All right, now before we do that, though, let's kind of review some stuff here because sum and difference angles are going to come in handy here. So let's take a look at 75. Now, if you look around the unit circle, 75 is not on there, bro. Nope, not happening. But I can use combinations of other values that are on the unit circle to get 75. For example, I can say 75 is the same thing as 30 plus 45. All right, no big deal. Or the other way around, we could say that. We could say 75 would be 45 plus 30. But because the commutative property of addition, doesn't matter which one you use because they're both the same thing. They both give you 75. But what about subtracting? So if I look on the unit circle, there's a whole bunch of different combinations. So go ahead and hit pause and see what combinations you can come up with. All right, so how did you do with that? Because these are all the different combinations around the unit circle that you could use to come up with a sum or a difference of 75. So that's what you want to do. You want to try and find different combinations of numbers, values from the unit circle in degrees that will give you one answer of just 75 degrees. So when I start doing that, I just kind of take a look at a different value. So say I'll start with 120. And I'll just subtract whatever the angle is I want to find. In this case, I end up with 75. So if I do 120 minus 75, that gives me 45. Boom. So that means 120 and 45 are going to be the pair that I could use for the difference. Or I could take a look at the next one. So 120 was right here on the unit circle. Then I go to 135, and I'm like 135 minus 75, and that also gives me 60 degrees. Oh, 60 is on the unit circle, so 135 and 60 are my pair. But if I would go to 150 minus 75, I get 75. Well, nope, that's not on the unit circle, so I can't use 150 as one of my angles. All right, so you'll get the hang of that, but that's kind of the thought process that we want to look to develop there. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our formulas here. Now, these formulas, man, there's a lot of them. Now, the U's and the V's are going to represent the two different angles, Now, if you're adding, the order does not matter. For example, like when we did 30 plus 45, that gave us 75, as does 45 plus 30. Either way, we get 75. However, when we're subtracting, the order does matter. Because if we do 45 minus 30 compared to 30 minus 45, we get two different results. So be careful to make sure that you use the correct values in the right order. So we're going to do that. And when we take a look at these, I mean, the whole purpose of these sum and difference formulas is to find exact values for angles not on the unit circle by using values that are on the unit circle. So these are our 6 different formulas here. 2 for sine, 2 for cosine, 2 for tangent. 1 with adding, 1 with subtracting. So that means there's going to be more than one way to do this. We're only going to take a look at this first example in the video, and we'll come back and we'll do the other ones in subsequent videos. So let's go ahead and take a look at the sum formula for using sine of 75. Now, we already said this piece, so we know the sine of 75, and this is how I want you to write it down. So sine of 75 is going to be the sine of 45 plus 30. All right, so those are going to be the two angles that we're going to use for this. Those are going to be the two angles that we're going to use for this. So this is going to be our U. So we're going to let 45 be our U and our 30 be our V. Now from here, right, we're going to go ahead and this is where you want to make sure the formula. So we're going to take our time to substitute everything in correctly. So the sine of U. So I want you to write this down like this. So U is 45. So we're going to write down sine of 45. And then we're going to have the cosine of V, so cosine of 30. That's the first part of it. Then we're going to add to that the cosine of the U term, which in this case is 45, and sine of the V term. And the V term is 30. So we're going to have sine U, cos V, cos U, sine V. So those are going to be, that's our formula right there. Now from here though, this is where, again, we're going to have to pull in the unit circle. So the unit circle, our friend the unit circle, this is where we're coming in hot here. So the sine of 45, we know that that is going to be square root of 2 over 2. So that's that very first value. Now again, if you need to, pull your unit circle down so that you have that piece right there. 45 is 1, where the sine and the cosine are both the same. But 30 degrees, we've got square root of 3 over 2 and 1/2. So maybe for some people, they're like, okay, I need to bring this, let's bring the unit circle down here with us so we can use our BFF here. So we've got that, and then cosine of 30. So when we look on the unit circle, cosine, that's my x-coordinate, cool. So that's going to end up being root 3 over 2. So that's a sine 45 cos 30 part, right? Then to that, we're going to add, now the cosine of 45, same thing as sine of 45, root 2 over 2. The sine of 30, so now I want the y-coordinate at 30 degrees, and that is 1/2. From here, we simply multiply. All right, so root 2 times root 3, we're going to end up with root 6 in the numerator on the top of the first pair of terms. And then 2 times 2 is 4. So we get that for the first 2 terms. And then root 2 over 2 times 1/2 gives us square root of 2 over 4. Now, here's where you have to be really careful. You know, all right, a lot of people make this mistake. So the denominators, right, you're going to not add those together because that's a mistake a lot of people make. The numerators will add them together. And here's another mistake. Sometimes people combine the square root of 2 and the square root of 6 to say, oh, that's square root of 8. No way, bro. Go back to Algebra 1 and relearn that junks. But when you have 4 as your denominator, that's your common denominator. So boom, that's it. We done. All right, so we had to do all of that to come up with the exact value for sine of 75 degrees. So the sine of 75 is that. Now, if this were a quiz, you know, this is what Musky would be looking at. So right here is, you know, that first line. I want to see whatever the 2 angles are that you're putting in there. Then you're going to apply the formula. So you don't have to write the formula, but you do have to apply it. Then you're going to go ahead and write all of the values in there correctly, because you got to make sure you pull those pieces in correctly from the unit circle, and then you'd come up with, you know, your final answer right here. So you want to take your time and make sure that you do that. So that's it for this video. We're going to come back and do the difference one in another one, but that is basically the idea behind that. All right, so take your time, do your arithmetic correctly, and you will be all set. Catch up with you guys soon. Peace out. Make it a great day.